Okay, in your map project we did some triangles. Okay, so this section is about triangles. This is easy stuff. Okay, if I have triangles. Okay, first of all, there's three parts that we're going to do. Okay, part one. Okay, we're going to classify triangles. Okay, every triangle has an angle classification. Every triangle has an angle classification. Okay, an angle classification and a side classification. Okay, sorry, I ran out of room right there. Okay, every single triangle, it has both of these. Okay, it'll be classified by an angle first, and then it'll be classified by a side. Okay, does anybody know the three angle classifications that there are? Okay, what's one, Kemper? Okay, a right triangle. If you have a right triangle, it has one right angle. Okay, what's another one?
A sausage triangle.
That's a side classification. We'll get to that though. Noah? Obtuse, okay. If you have an obtuse triangle, it has one obtuse angle. Okay, what's the last one? Macy? Acute, good. The last one is an acute triangle. An acute triangle has three acute angles. Okay, so every triangle, when you classify a triangle, you're going to say it's either right, obtuse, or acute. Okay, does that make sense so far? All right, the next thing, every triangle is classified also by side classifications. So let's see. We already talked about, Jada said one of them. Did you say isosceles? Okay. Isosceles. What does isosceles mean? Anybody know? Two equal sides. Okay. Two equal sides. Okay. What if a triangle has no equal sides? What is that? Does anybody know? Noah? Scalene. Scalene means no equal sides. Okay, and what's the last one? If we have all equal sides, what is that going to be? Equilateral. Whoa. That's really bad handwriting. Okay, all equal sides. Okay, so every triangle that I see is going to have a side classification and an angle classification. So sometimes they are angle classifications. Sometimes you can't really tell by looking at them, or you can't really tell sometimes by the side classification. So can I erase this? Does everybody have this? Okay. Finish writing that. All right, are we good on this? Are we good?
No. In this class, you have to write really fast.
I know. Because we cover a lot in a short amount of time.
No chance this week.
I don't think so. Yeah, we get you to lunch on Wednesday.
Is today?
On Wednesday. On Wednesday. Okay. All right.
No. Write down the right obtuse and acute, okay?
Okay.
Real.
Okay, geez.
Do it faster.
I am.
Do it.
Yeah,
Do it now.
okay.
Be quiet, Chris.
This is what you get up in the day.
Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna erase the top part. You have this all this written? Okay, so sometimes you're gonna see these little marks on a triangle. Okay, and they're called tick marks, and what they mean, what they indicate is something that is the same on one side as it is on the other. Okay? So for example, if I had a triangle, let's say that looked I had a triangle that looked like this, and I had tick marks on all three sides. What do you think that means? That means they're all the same, okay? So all three of these are the same. So remember, I first classify this by angles. What are all three of these angles? All of these are what? They're acute, okay? Acute, equilateral, okay? Now, what if I have a triangle that looked let's say like this, and I have this, but I have a tick mark here and a tick mark here. What would that mean? Are all three sides the same here? What would that mean? That what? Two sides are the same. Again, every triangle has an angle classification and a side classification. What would the angle classification of this one be? Right. So this would be a right what? What would the side classification be? Isosceles, a right isosceles. Okay. All right. Bowman, did you get all this stuff on the bottom?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't like that laugh.
I'm going to erase this. Okay. What if I have one that looks, if I have on my angle measures, let's say I have something like this. I know it's a right triangle, but let's say this is 1, this is 2, and this is 3. Does that mean any of those sides are equal? It means none of those sides are equal. Because I have one with a 1 tick mark, one with a 2, and one with a 3. So if that's the case, first of all, what kind of triangle is this? Angle. Right? And if none of those sides are the same, what does that make it? Scalene. Okay? A right scalene. Okay? What if I have one that looks like this? Let's say on this one, I have a line here and a line here. What does this look like to you? Jewel? Me too. What does this look like? Does this have an obtuse angle? But angle first. No, because this angle is not acute. What is this angle? If it has one obtuse angle, what does that make it? It's an obtuse isosceles. Okay, now what's your question? Uh-huh. It does, but if it has one right angle, it's classified as right. The only way it's considered an acute triangle is if all three sides are acute. I mean all three angles. Uh-huh. No, because you have two. You would have two acute angles, but this one's isosceles. If it has even one, obtuse. If it has even one obtuse, then it makes it an obtuse triangle. Okay. Audrey, question?
On the second triangle,
Uh-huh.
isn't that a right isosceles and not an acute isosceles?
This one? No, this isn't a right angle.
No, I mean, like, you already erased this. So, it was like that.
I'm going.
It was,
This one?
yeah.
Yeah, it was right isosceles.
Oh, what's that?
Yeah. Okay. All right, so you understand when you classify an angle, okay, or classify a triangle, if you only write the sides, if you write isosceles, but you don't classify the angles, it's only going to be half credit. Every triangle has an angle classification and a what? A side classification. Okay, are we good on that? That's part one. Okay, part two. This one's easy. Very similar to a supplementary angle. You guys told me earlier, what do supplementary angles mean? The angles that add up to what? Jada, you told me.
What?
Supplementary angles, they add up to what? 180. Okay, triangles have the same thing. Okay, all triangles, regardless. Yes? Okay, I'll get it in a second. Okay, I'll get it in a second. Okay, all triangles, regardless of their classification, regardless of their angles, okay, all triangles equal 180 degrees when you add their three angles up. Okay? Now, sometimes you might not be given all three angles. Sometimes you may only be given one angle, but you have, well, what do I mean by that? Let's say I have something like this. Okay? Let's say I'm given this angle, and then I say this one is 28. No, we'll go bigger than that. We'll say 62 degrees, and this angle is X degrees. Okay? Well, even though I'm only given one angle here, technically am I given two angles? Why? Because what does this mean? This means 90 degrees, right? Well, these three angles together have to equal what? 180. So just like with supplementary angles, when you made your equation, you're going to do the same thing with these triangles. Okay, so 180 equals, what do I know? I know that I have one angle that equals what? 90. I have another angle that equals what? So 90 plus 62, and then I have another angle that all I know is what? X. Okay? So when I put these two together, what's 90 plus 62? 152 plus X, right? Well, how am I going to solve for X here? I need to get rid of what here? Say it. 152. So I'm going to subtract 152 from here and from here. Those cancel. What is 180 minus 52? 152. 28. So this angle would be 28 degrees. Circle it and put your degree mark when you're finding a missing degree. Okay? Does that make sense? Now, if it's not a right angle, okay? If it's not a right triangle, let's say, for example, I have one that's obtuse. Let's say it's just an obtuse scalene triangle. Okay? None of the sides are the same. Okay? In a triangle like this, I'm going to have to be given at least one of them. I mean, at least two of them. So let's say this angle is 121 degrees. And let's say this one is 20 degrees. And this one is X. What do these three angles have to equal together? 180. So this is 180 equals 121 is my first measure. What's my second measure? 20, and my third measure is just what? X. Okay? Now, can I combine anything here? Can I combine 121 and 20? That's 141 plus X. Now, how am I going to solve for X? Get rid of what? Get rid of 141 on each side. These cancel. What's 180 minus 141? 39 degrees. And what do I do for my final answer? Put a what? A degree mark and circle it. Okay. That's part two. Do we understand part two?
Hold up. I just want to write down for
Okay.
So there's two parts to every single equation?
No. That's part two of the lesson. There's three parts to the lesson.
There's three?
Mm-hmm.
Just like, there's three parts.
Okay. The last part we're going to be doing, sometimes we have to actually solve.
I didn't write that part.
Well, you were talking, so I assumed you were done. Okay, we're going to sometimes have to solve or find the value for X. Okay? So if I have a triangle that looks like this. Okay, let's say this one was 28 degrees. Yes, this is part 3. Okay, and this is finding the value of X. Let's say this is 28 degrees. Let's say this is 34 degrees. Let's say this one, all that I'm given is X plus 59 in parentheses degrees. Okay? It doesn't change anything that these three angle measures have to equal what? They have to equal 180. So I'm going to write my equation 180 equals, and then I'm going to plug in what I know, which is 28 plus 34 plus, do I know what this measure is? X plus 59. Okay? Now I'm still trying to solve for x here. So what am I going to do with all of these measures here? I'm going to combine them, right? Good. So 180 equals, what's 28 plus 34? 62? And what is 62 plus 59? 120, 121. So this is 121 plus x. Now this looks like just like what we did a moment ago, doesn't it? How am I going to solve this? What am I going to get rid of so that I can solve for x? So minus 121 here, minus 121 here. Okay, what's 180 minus 21? 59 equals x. Now, if I was to plug it in up here, then this would give me the measure of that angle. But all you're asked to do on this, you're not asked to find the missing angle, you just have to find what x is. So it's not going to actually be a degree. Okay, does that make sense what we did there? Okay, that's all you got to do is find that x. Good enough? I want to erase it. Okay, Jewel, question. X plus 59. Yes. Part 2, we were finding the actual missing angle measure. Okay? Yes.
So can we add 59 to this? X plus 59.
Uh-huh.
And x is 59.
Yeah. You don't have to do that once you solve for x.
So we just ignore it?
No, once you've solved, all you're asked to do is find the value of x. You just find whatever x is and leave it like that. You don't have to go back and plug it in. I mean, you can if you want to, but you don't have to. Okay? All right.